Welcome to AnimeFan Narrations. Solo Leveling, Episode 30, Chapter 80.
For a hunter, equipment is like a lifeline. Better gear meant greater safety. Given how much hunters earned, it was only logical they wouldn't skimp on tools that made their hunts faster and safer. It was perfectly understandable. Still, he couldn't help but be taken aback. Seeing the artifact prices made him a bit anxious.
My current funds aren't going to cut it.
There weren't any flame-resistant artifacts up for auction, but the other high-end armors were far beyond what he had earned so far.
I thought I'd saved up a decent amount.
But that was from an ordinary person's perspective. To reach the level of a hunter, Jinwoo still had a long way to go. His bank account held about 1.7 billion won. To buy what he needed, he would have to sell the Marble of Avarice. Switching his mindset to that of a seller, his expression shifted.
If it costs a fortune to buy artifacts, then I can make a fortune selling my artifacts.
He navigated to the section where magic tools were up for sale. No matter where he searched, there weren't any artifacts that could double his magic damage. The best he found offered an increase of around 20% to 30%, and those items came with a hefty price tag.
These magic tools are no joke.
Even a 20% boost in power was significant. Only the top tier, maybe even the very highest-ranking hunters could afford these costly artifacts. And if those hunters gained a 20% power boost, the difference would be substantial. In fact, some of the items had already been sold. If people were willing to pay this much for a 20% increase,
How much could I get for this?
having never even dreamed of possessing an artifact before, Jinwoo couldn't begin to guess the value of the Marble of Avarice.
That's why auctions exist.
He hoped that putting the marble up for auction would fetch a high price. With a contented smile, Jinwoo exited the auction sites. Through his research, he had discovered two primary ways to sell an artifact. 1, through regular sellers and channels. 2, via the black market. However, he had no way of accessing the black market. There were limits to what he could find online.
If you could just reach it with a few mouse clicks, it wouldn't be called the black market.
Besides, the Marble of Avarice wasn't an illicit item, so there was no need to use the black market. Thus, Jinwoo decided that the best approach was to contact a reputable artifact exchange and have them auction it for him. Even though there would be taxes and fees, it would be the quickest and cleanest way.
The only issue is explaining how I got it.
What would they think if an E-rank hunter showed up with a rare and powerful artifact? Would they accept it without question? The Korean hunter auction was the largest business for facilitating deals between hunters. They would likely investigate all the details surrounding the items they sold.
And that's why I need that license.
A hunter's license with an S on it. This was why he went through the retest, and the outcome was favorable. He had worried for a moment when he turned down the elder's offer, but
Thankfully, it seems the association president isn't that type of person.
even as they parted ways, the association president was smiling. Spending years observing others teaches you how to read the atmosphere. Jinwoo had done that before. As an E-ranker, he had spent 4 years carefully watching those around him. Because of that, he had become quite good at reading people's moods just by looking at their faces. Go Gunhee's smile back then didn't seem forced. At least to Jinwoo, it appeared to be genuine. So he wasn't too concerned about the upcoming remeasurement in 2 days.
But what should I do until then?
Jinwoo leaned back in his chair. 2 days. Not long enough for something major, but too long to just idle away.
Maybe I should check that out?
Jinwoo lazily moved his cursor to the job board on the Hunter website. With a click, the screen filled with posts. There were numerous posts from people seeking members for private raiding parties in the area. The reason was clear. When he and Yoo Jinho had been monopolizing the C-rank gates in the area for a few days, all the private parties had to halt their activities. Now that Jinwoo had stopped, those parties could start working again. The gap left by his and Yoo Jinho's absence had created a void, and many parties were stepping in to fill it. Jinwoo chuckled softly and moved on to the next page.
I don't gain levels in C-rank dungeons anymore.
The last time he entered a C-rank dungeon, it had taken him the entire day of raiding to level up. In fact, it had taken 2 days. Since then, he had leveled up more than a dozen times. If he could see his experience points, he knew that C-rank magic beasts wouldn't even make a dent.
So, C-rank dungeons are pointless for me.
Unfortunately, there weren't any postings for high-level dungeons. Attempting a high-level dungeon with a private party was suicide, and guilds wouldn't be looking for members on a job board like this. Still, just in case.
Should I adjust the search terms a bit?
He changed the filter to show only high-level dungeons. He didn't expect much to come from it, but then
Wait a minute.
something caught his eye.
You mentioned you were E-rank?
Yes.
Ever done something like this before?
No,
And what class are you?
I'm a fighter.
Well, that's something positive.
The team leader, wearing a hard hat, sized up Jinwoo from head to toe.
For an E-rank, he's got a solid build. His eyes show determination.
Jinwoo calmly waited for the team leader's response. Soon, the man handed him an ID card and laughed heartily.
Ha ha ha, there are plenty of folks like you here, Jinwoo. See, don't be nervous. Let's work well together.
Although he appeared to be in his 40s, the man had a lively energy about him. His mustache suited his face nicely.
We just hang out here until the people inside come out. Don't forget your gear.
Gear?
You can grab one from that pile over there.
Understood.
Jinwoo nodded towards the heap of pickaxes. Just then, a man with a towel draped over his shoulders hurried over.
Hey, Si, we're short on people today. Why are you taking someone from us?
Hey, your collection team has plenty. What if we're the ones who end up short-handed and miss the gate closing? Are you going to take responsibility?
Well, still.
The mustached man turned to the one with the towel and then smiled at Jinwoo.
Sung-si, just relax here. I'm going to have a little chat with this guy.
We can talk here. Why walk away?
Who knows? Come with me.
The two men continued their banter as they walked off.
So the other group handles the gathering.
High-level dungeons were so vast that a single raiding team couldn't manage everything on their own. Therefore, different teams were formed for specific tasks. One team to clear the dungeon, another to mine its ores, and another to collect the remains of the magic beasts. The primary raiding team would clear the dungeon up to the boss's chamber and then exit. Once the remaining beasts were confined to the boss's room, the mining and collection teams would go in. Jinwoo was assigned to the mining team.
Is this all I need?
With a slightly disappointed expression, Jinwoo picked up a pickaxe. It was small, but he could sense the magic power within it.
It's infused with magic.
Modern electric machines didn't function within dungeons, so these magic-infused tools were used instead. There was a reason why hunters and mining teams were jokingly referred to as dungeon miners. Jinwoo turned his gaze toward the gate. A massive hole floated in the air. It was far larger than any C-rank gate he had seen.
So this is what an A-rank gate looks like.
The main reason he was here was to see this.
I want to witness a high-level dungeon firsthand.
Even though most of the magic beasts, except for the boss and its minions, would be gone, Jinwoo still wanted to explore the interior of an A-rank dungeon.
I'll have to venture into places like this one day.
Knowledge is power, but there's only so much you can learn from books or the internet. Even Becco's new recruits, who relied solely on written knowledge, met an unfortunate end.
If I hadn't been there, they all would have died.
There's a big difference between knowing something and experiencing it. When the chance arose, Jinwoo volunteered for the mining team so he could get a glimpse of an A-rank dungeon. He briefly regretted his decision after seeing the underwhelming pickaxes, but felt better when he saw the enormous gate.
Coming here was a smart move.
There was still time before his remeasurement. This was a valuable opportunity. As if their discussion had gone well, the mustached man, or rather team leader Bae Yoon-suk, returned with a smile.
Let's head in. Everything's set.
Holding his pickaxe, Jinwoo smiled back and nodded.
Solo Leveling, Chapter 81.
Sir, I've brought the file you requested.
Come in.
Woo Jinchul stepped into the association president's office. Go Gunhee, who had been anticipating his arrival, greeted him with a warm smile. Taking the documents from Woo Jinchul, the elderly president glanced at the photo on top. It was Jinwoo. The picture was from the time when the young man first got his license. Even though there was a significant change in Jinwoo's appearance from then to now, he was still easily recognizable. As he scanned through the details of Jinwoo's activity records, Go Gunhee's expression grew serious.
Not just an E-ranker, but the weakest one at that. And he worked as a hunter for 4 years.
The risks Jinwoo had taken were tantamount to flirting with death. Even though the association's raids were less intense than those of the guilds, they were still challenging for an E-ranker. It was no surprise that Jinwoo had spent a lot of time in hospitals during his career as a hunter.
He endured well despite all these injuries.
They say he couldn't leave the association because of his mother's medical expenses.
A rare kind of young man in today's world.
A gleam appeared in Go Gunhee's eyes.
In the absence of his father, he looked after his younger sister and sick mother all by himself.
The association president had initially decided to review Jinwoo's file out of curiosity, after learning about the E-rank hunter's reawakening, but he didn't expect to uncover something like this. The more he learned about Jinwoo, the more he admired him.
It's unfortunate that I have to let him go to the guilds.
As he finished going through Jinwoo's file, Go Gunhee felt an increasing sense of disappointment over his failure to convince the young man to join the association. Clicking his tongue, he turned the page, only to find he had reached the end of the file. With a contented expression, the elder closed the file.
Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Woo Jinchul gathered the documents and was about to leave, but then paused and hesitantly turned back.
Association president.
Yes?
Go Gunhee looked up. Woo Jinchul seemed uneasy.
He usually looks so composed, like nothing could faze him. To see Chief Woo like this.
It seemed there was something troubling him. Go Gun-hee's curiosity was piqued.
What is it?
After a brief hesitation, the chief spoke.
There's something I need to inform you about. We just received word that Hunter Sung Jinwoo has joined a raid.
Already? Whose raid is it?
It's with the Hunters Guild.
The Hunters Guild, you say?
So Sung Jinwoo ended up going with the Hunters Guild, and it only took him a day. Go Gun-hee's expression darkened.
After all that we discussed, was he tempted by the offer from the Hunters Guild?
If that were the case, it would be truly disappointing. Go Gun-hee had been so impressed after meeting such a remarkable person after a long time. But considering the young hunter's demeanor yesterday, along with the file he had just reviewed, Jinwoo didn't seem like someone who would change his mind so easily. No, there had to be another reason. Perhaps...
If his goal was to fight powerful magic beasts, then joining the Hunters Guild would be the best option.
Go Gun-hee tried to convince himself that this was the reason. However, Woo Jin-cheol's next words shattered that assumption.
I don't think that's the case, sir.
Did you learn something else?
According to our records, Hunter Sung Jinwoo didn't join the raiding team. Instead, he signed up with the mining team.
Thanks for watching Solo Leveling on AnimeFan Narrations. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.